Monday, we ask our reporters to share a story or scoop they're working on. You get a sneak peek of tomorrow's headlines today. Julie, you're batting lead off.
Well, we're about to see a very early beginning to the season of political messaging votes. We always have this when you're in the run-up to an election, a presidential election. You have both parties trying to stake out their positions and really cast votes on the House and Senate floor to kind of message that and show the public what the contrast is. We've just come off of a season of, brief season of legislating where the appropriators were able to come to this deal on the border security issues, but they're about to turn in the Senate to abortion votes. We're going to see votes, as we discussed, about the Green New Deal, which Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is very enthusiastic about getting everyone on the record on, and gun votes in the House. These are ways that both parties, Democrats and Republicans, are going to try to put themselves on the record and put their opponents on the record, excuse me, in the run-up to a very competitive set of elections that are still more than a year away, obviously.
Everybody's opposed to messaging votes unless they hurt the other party. Josh.
The national conversations would dominate, obviously, for the past few weeks by the border wall, but now we're turning to North Korea. The president is pretty excited, by all accounts, that we talked to folks in the White House to get to go to North Korea and do a summit with Kim Jong-un in Hanoi. This is a president who thought the first one was a ratings bonanza, who's loved to talk about all of the supposed concessions he's gotten. Folks inside of his administration have been more skeptical, have said, what exactly are we doing here? What's the point of doing this trip again? Why are we giving him a second meeting? But the president is gung-ho to do it. So you're going to see a lot of this week. National security officials, the president prepared to go to Vietnam in a few days to see Kim Jong-un.
Stay tuned. All right, Matt.
So far, most of the candidates in 2020 have focused on the early states of Iowa, South Carolina, and New Hampshire. That's starting to change with Nevada. Today, Elizabeth Warren is there. In 2 weeks, Kamala Harris is heading there. And that demonstrates a little bit the outsized presence of Hispanic voters, which is increasingly a big voting bloc. In Nevada, they make up 1 in 5 voters, Florida as well. And this field is interesting in that respect. Julian Castro is a Hispanic candidate himself. Then you have Cory Booker, who speaks Spanish, interestingly. Beto O'Rourke getting in the race has a name of his El Paso community and also speaks Spanish. So as the candidates sort of turn toward these states, look for them to sort of start doing things to cater to that community.
Keep a very eye on it. Messaging. It's all about messaging, all about strategy here. All right, Abby.
Well, the opening salvo of divided government is over, and the president suffered a really stinging defeat with his border wall. And there's been some talk for months now about ways in which the president and the White House can cooperate with Democrats on issues like infrastructure. But inside the White House, there's not a lot of hope that those kinds of things can actually be done, especially on some big issues. And President Trump is coming off of such a big defeat. He hates losing. A lot of people are skeptical that he'll be willing to meet Democrats in the middle on anything in the future, not to mention that in the White House at the staff level, not a lot of people have great relationships with Dem leadership. Efforts to court moderates have not really gone anywhere. And I think we're likely to see more stalemate as we go forward for the next 2 years of leadership from Nancy Pelosi in the House and President Trump wanting to get a win from Democrats any way, which way he can.
Are you implying Infrastructure Week may not be successful?
It may not happen.
All 52 of them coming forward? All right, thanks, guys. I'll close today with this. There haven't been many bright spots in the last 9 weeks of gridlock and impasse, and this may seem like more bad news. The next spending battle, about 6 months from now, will have even higher stakes. There's a debt ceiling to deal with. The budget caps return, meaning if Congress can't reach a deal, the government will face approximately $126 billion in automatic spending reductions. But, and hang with me here now, there is a positive note. The spending decks are now cleared. Lawmakers and staff have time and some level of a roadmap, thanks to the agreement just reached, to chart a bipartisan path forward to address the next crisis before it's an actual crisis. Now, can they actually do it? Aides I'm talking to on both sides acknowledge it's a long and very, very bumpy path ahead. But had a long-term spending bill not been reached this past week, any chance for an agreement in September would have been, according to all involved, officially dead. So rest up, budget and appropriations staffers. In a few weeks, it all starts again. But at least now, there's a real, if small, window to avoid the paralysis of the last 60 days.